But I bought a nice whiteboard and I want to keep it. I thought it was nice. It's a nice glass whiteboard.
But it's also $10.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
You're
Like
really
you
pushing
write
the
on
limits
it.
of how much interest I actually have.
No, okay, listen. So you know what I mean? We have a glass whiteboard. You can draw a mark on it, and then you look at an angle and you can see like the shadow behind it. That's kind of cool.
I agree.
I was not listening.
No.
Sorry, lame.
I heard you and I agree.
Thumbs up the video if you
Are
like
you talking
glass
about
whiteboards.
like in house when they have the transparent whiteboard? It's just in the middle of the room and they write the stuff on it. It's
No.
hard to read.
It's still a
Right.
whiteboard. It's just like there's a glass sheet on the front of it.
Can we just do a quick shout out to House?
I've never
that's a
seen a
great
single episode, but I heard it was good.
I think we've talked about this like post pod or like
Yeah.
a couple times. Like I'd say
House
it's
is-
still my favorite show ever.
Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things.
Yeah.
Zach
It's-
used to tell me a lot about it.
It's definitely
that's great.
consistently strong throughout the whole series,
Yeah,
which is a hard feat
Yeah, it really is.
for a show with that many seasons.
My roommates were revisiting Community recently, and it was wild to be back in that world.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
I
is.
feel like that show's gonna age.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot how much I loved it, honestly.
It is like just
Okay.
stuff that Pierce says. Just Pierce.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm rewatching The Office, and
That
That's
is
similar
that. Some
to-
of the stuff in there hasn't aged well, but like I think it's just like the cringe factor.
Yeah.
Like if you know the character's cringy, and I think you can kind of get away with that with like a little bit of Pierce, but like
I
Pierce
hate
says
my-
outlandish.
They never
stuff.
try to redeem Pierce though, really.
Yeah.
But they try to redeem Michael Scott, and he can't.
He can't.
Yeah. Welcome to the Weekend Fan Club.
Some people are beyond redemption.
Me and Quinn literally like we were hanging out on Saturday and we watched like 2 episodes of The Office, and like I had watched the whole series before and I hadn't watched it recently, and I'm watching it and I'm like I hate Michael Scott. I hate.
You're
him.
saying you work at a place that
Yeah,
has a
I
similar
work.
vibe.
That's the thing. That's why I hate it, because when we were watching it, there was a part in the episode where like Pam was like upset about a dirty microwave, and I was like, "This is hitting home." Like,
Well, you
God
also
damn it.
like work at an office supply depot, right?
no, I don't.
Do I have to censor that?
Jacob, I'm not a hooker. don't insinuate.
Maybe this
that.
is also giving away too much, but no, I'm pretty sure they specifically mentioned the company,
The company that John works for,
in
yeah.
the show.
They do on several occasions.
God damn it! Stop telling people I work at Dunder Mifflin.
He works at Michael Scott Paper Company.
I work at Scott's for Tots.
Scott's
Yeah.
Scott's
Scott's for Tots.
Or Scott's Tots, whatever. the
Scott's
fuck it's called.
Tots. That's the one.
Actually, I gotta admit, like everyone was like, "You gotta wait till that episode." Like you've never been more uncomfortable until you watch that episode.
No.
I disagree. I felt the most uncomfortable at the dinner party episode.
Oh, that one's also that one is
That one's a nightmare.
It's weird
That
that
one
Scott's
is-
Tots gets the sole recognition when that's on the same tier. I think.
Yeah.
That
I-
one was a doozy.
Are we all forgetting the wedding?
Phyllis's wedding?
Which wedding?
Are you
I
talking-
couldn't finish
Are you
it.
talking about Phyllis's wedding?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna mention that one.
I
I
couldn't
was thinking of
finish
Jim
it.
and Pam's. I don't remember Phyllis's wedding.
Phyllis's wedding, he's supposed to. Phyllis's dad is in a wheelchair, so he's supposed to push him down the aisle, and then halfway down, his dad stands up as this like huge gesture to Phyllis walking down the aisle, and then Michael Scott, he like drags the wheelchair behind him, like clanking down the aisle. He is a very pissed off toddler that got the spotlight taken away
Oh
from him.
my god, it's painful. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, why do people like him?
That's
He
what
has
he's a
no
child, right?
redeeming qualities.
The worst thing he ever faces is a person who isn't used to his bullshit and then just has a normal human response to him, and he just totally locks up because he's a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually feel bad. I just finished the section where Elba's character leaves.
Oof.
I miss him already.
Yeah.
Last time I watched it, I found Idris Elba's character hard to handle only because he was too negative. Like it just gave the whole show a negative energy for him.
Well, I think it's only because you're not used to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because you've been watching it for like what? It's like 6 seasons at that point,
Mhm.
and then you're just like, whoa.
I do have mixed feelings about watching Jim struggle so hard
Mm.
because Idris Elba just hates him at every turn.
No, that's great.
I will admit though, Idris Elba.
One of my favorite actors.
What a man.
Mhm.
Have you ever watched Luther?
Yes. What a show.
Good show.
What a show.
I watched
It was like a BBC
first
original.
He's basically Black Sherlock.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But like where Sherlock's
could be
like,
black.
but where
He's just
Sherlock is
Sherlock.
like, but where Sherlock in the modern like BBC series is problematic.
Mhm.
It's
Wait,
more-
what?
You know how like Sherlock is like sort of problematic.
Oh, John, do you want to take a hot take out of this bag of hot takes?
What? Is it?
Pull a hot take out of this bag of hot takes.
It's
No.
really problematic. I thought the show just had criticisms of.
Yeah, but you know, I mean like the character in the context of the world. Like where it's just like, oh, Sherlock is this weird dude and
mean like he's
I don't
he's
know
a
much about
wacky
the
guy.
I don't
He's
know much
sort of
about the
weird, and then like you take Idris Elba's character as Luther, and it's just like, oh shit, like he's just a smart dude, and also not a good person. Just
No.
not a good person.
Not a lot of redeemable
No,
qualities.
not at all.
But I actually did enjoy the narrative of Luther more than Sherlock.
Yeah, same.
I found Sherlock to be like it's a masterclass in acting in Sherlock, just because it's such a diverse array
Yeah.
of characters and
Each episode's a movie, for God's sake.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. And
its own
that's,
standalone.
Doesn't have to be.
It really
doesn't.
doesn't.
but a lot of like the cinematography was like on point for
Yeah.
Sherlock too, and Luther was honestly just bare bones, gritty,
Mhm.
like old school,
Like an actual.
British.
It was like an actual like crime show.
Yeah. I will admit, like, when it comes to, like, British stereotypes, they play the contrast of, like, being, like, Downton Abbey and, like, the Brothers Grimsby very well.
Yeah.
Like, they contrast themselves very well.
Yeah. I haven't. Oh god, I gotta go back and watch Luther now. I literally haven't watched it in
I don't think it's on Netflix.
forever. No, I don't think it is. Was it on Netflix? I didn't
Yeah,
watch it on
that's
Netflix.
where I watched it.
Oh no, I didn't know. I watched it on the TV when I still lived with my parents.
I got through one series,
Mm.
and I don't know why I stopped watching it, honestly. I couldn't be able to give you a legit reason, but the series that I did watch was pretty compelling.
Yeah.
It was pretty well done.
I can't remember how many seasons they did, but I think I only watched like 2. Maybe 3?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
They only
Yeah.
did like 3 or 4 like episodes.
Yeah.
If you want to call like
Yeah, like
half
per-
an episode.
Yeah, per series.
But the first series, like, he was still dealing with like his notorious case with the serial killer.
Mm.
That was a series that I watched.
By the way, he has a notorious case for the serial killer.
It's an old series. I'm not giving spoilers.
Yeah,
for that.
no, I get it. But it is a good show. Like,
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
it kind of like paved the way for Sherlock because it came out like
it came out before.
yeah.
But man, I remember like because I think I remember my stepmother told me about it because she was watching it, and I was just like, shit, is it any good? And normally, like, no offense to my stepmother, she normally just watches panderous fluff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what's this? And of course, I love Idris Elba, so I'm like, oh shit, like, what is this?
Yeah.
And she's just like, I know, right? Isn't he hot? And I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Besides the
But-
fact, what is it?
Yeah.
And then she told me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Do
check it out.
your like parents like watch a lot of like fluff media? Like my parents die for the Chicago Wednesdays on NBC.
What is that?
Exactly.
Chicago. Excuse me, Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD. Like it's
I
just
don't know. What
it's
that
just
It's
like
like
it's like a
2
mini.
tiers down from Grey's Anatomy.
How?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty accurate. It's so
It's fluff.
I don't know.
oh
I don't know.
no depth.
They watch.
No
Our mom watches-
substance.
our mom watched like a Grey's or like a This Is Us, but I think our parents are also really. They kind of hid it from us, but they were really into like HBO and like prestige programming.
Wow.
Yeah.
My dad is. Mom can't handle that.
Yeah.
Dad dies for like Ray Donovan.
Yeah,
Game
yeah.
of Thrones.
Like my dad will watch all that shit too, and then sometimes
Yeah,
like my
both our
stepmother will
parents,
watch
I
it as well.
think, are caught up on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. I remember back in the day, even like True Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, they followed True Blood.
I remember my
I think Pop followed
stepmother.
The Sopranos.
Ooh.
Like,
I've been hearing some very interesting takes about The Sopranos recently that make me almost want to watch it.
It's really
Do
good.
tell some of your takes if you can.
I can't remember. It just sounded like it was good.
Okay.
Jacob,
Like
you
it was
eat a
maybe
spicy
kind
chip.
of tongue in cheeky. Like it's not just like a serious boring. It's like not boring, but it's not like a serious drama where everyone's.
I'm looking forward for the. They're doing like a prequel movie, and they're casting James Gandolfini, the guy who played Tony Soprano, his son, as a younger version of him, which is hilarious because his son really does look like a younger version of him,
Cool.
which is great. It's not like for the sake of doing it because
Yeah.
it's his son. It's just like, oh wow, he actually does look like good casting. All right.
Toy.
You know what's great?
What's great, John?
Resident Evil.
That's a magical segue.
Literally the worst segue
You
you've ever
nailed
done.
it.
No, I just really want to talk about it because I'm still.
Yeah, well, I still want to talk about my shirt, but
Your
you know what?
shirt is
Ship
great.
sailed. Thanks.
Your shirt's great. It's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah.
It's like actually like the good hairstyle Sabrina.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, like is the old one good or is the new one good? I don't know.
The new one's really good.
The new
Okay.
show?
I was-
Oh,
I
did you
wasn't
mean
sure
her
what this-
hairstyle or?
I just wanted to understand your hot take here.
You watched the show, right?
The new one, yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's flawed, but
Is it?
it had enough in it for me that I thought it was worth the watch. And
Yeah.
when it ended, I was like, glad I saw it.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, because like it came out at like a prime time. Like it came out near Halloween.
Yeah.
But is it just gonna release seasons around Halloween?
No.
I don't think so.
No, next season comes out in April.
Oh yeah.
Awkward.
It's
It's because
Me and-
Netflix is off the rails. They can just blast seasons out whenever they want.
Netflix
but I'm
is
totally
really
okay with it
off the rails.
because like me and Quinn were talking about this the other day. Like when you watch Sabrina, you're like, wow, this has such a Halloweeny feel at all times, and I'm kind of okay with it. It's never like in your face because the show kind of takes place around Halloween.
Yeah.
But like
I
even
feel
then,
like this Halloween was like the most enjoyable Halloween that I've had in like a decade.
you were saying that. You were saying that in our Halloween episode where you were like, this is the first time in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we obviously had. I really think our Halloween episode was like good quality.
Mm.
I don't remember.
And if you haven't checked it out, you can click in the link below and you can check it out.
Yeah.
Now I gotta remember to link it, John. God damn it.
But speaking of Halloween, Resident Evil 2.
Wow, that's a segue. Good segue, Jacob.
Thanks, man.
Blammo.
I have never been a fan of horror games ever. I don't
Like, you don't like them?
don't like them. I don't want to like spend my time being scared when I'm not like doing schoolwork or doing something, let's use air quotes, productive.
Fair enough.
But I understand their appeal because I have watched like Markiplier do like Resident Evil 7.
It's definitely something different watching people play.
And I think I'm sick that way. I'm like, I like it when like you freak out from fear.
Ooh,
Right?
listen.
It's really funny.
I like watching people experience stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a weird relationship with horror games because I like playing them. I don't mind it. I like watching people too, but there's a difference between scary and stressful. Because mostly the Resident Evil games to me are not scary per se. They're more stressful because you have to manage things. You have to manage your health items. You have to manage your ammo. Should I bother fighting these things in this hallway, or can I go around them quickly? Am I ever going to come back to this hallway? Is this going to be a high traffic area for me? If it is, I might as well expend what I have to. I think about all of these factors, and that's what's the stressful part for me is. Other than that, I don't mind the spooks. That's fine, whatever. Anytime I walk into a room, for example, there's like a zombie on the floor, I will waste one bullet to shoot it in the head when it's on the ground, just to know if it's going to get up later or not.
Right.
And I'm like, cool, it's not great. Warning shot, don't care. And if it does, I'll be like, cool, it's up. And I'll just kill it.
Yeah.
But I think Resident Evil 2, the remake, is the first game, really, to get both the stressful and scare me. And that's...
Did you play Resident Evil 7?
Yes.
And you think Resi 2 is scarier, but like equally as stressful?
Yeah, I don't know. Resident Evil 7 is different because it's first person, and that just has its own... That's just a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And I think 2 was more scary for me because I'm a fan of the series. Like, I've been playing them since 4.
Yeah.
So I played 4, and 4 was like the, third person behind the character thing. 5 was behind the character, 6 was behind the character, 7 was first person different. And then 2 was, again, third person behind the character. So when I started playing it like 4 or whatever, and I realized, oh no, I cannot play it like this. And everything was fine and dandy until Mr. X came around.
I've heard a lot of chatter, let's use that. How terrifying is he?
Very.
Why?
Let me paint a picture for you.
Okay.
The very beginning of the game, you're in
devouring.
What?
I'm devouring.
Cool. In the very beginning of the game, you are shown that you're in like the police station. So you're in like the main hall. It's a pretty big room, right? You have like a little save station, like your little item box. You can put your stuff in it, and then you go off from there. So it's like a little door to your left, a door to your right, upstairs to the left, upstairs to the right, all that stuff, whatever. And you come back to this area, and it's all bright, and you're safe. There's no music. You're
There's
okay.
allies there at the beginning.
There's an ally there. He's just sitting there on the computer, and you're like, cool, great. I know this is a safe area. Then you go on and you do your thing, and then you just you kind of like walk down a hall, and there's like a crashed helicopter in like part of the building because it just like hit into it, and you're like, okay, cool, whatever, and you get rid of the fire that's around it, and then once you get rid of the fire, you go walk around to go walk past it, and all you see is like the helicopter just fall out of the building, and all you see is this 8-foot tall motherfucker brick shithouse with a pea coat and a top hat, and you're like, what the fuck is that? He stares at you, and he just hands down by his fucking waist and walks towards you.
Why?
Never runs, just walks.
Why?
And he will hunt you down for the rest of the game.
Why?
I don't know. He just fucking walks, and I hate it. He knows where you are at all times, and anytime he's in the same area as you, all you can hear is a lot louder, obviously,
Don't
but
like that.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. And like, there was a time where I was sitting in like a room, and there was a weird basically like this fucking monster with giant claws.
With liquor?
Liquor, that's the liquor, yeah. And he was outside the door, and I was waiting for it to like leave because I was looking out the window to try and see if it was like gonna walk away, so I could duke out of the room and just run.
Right.
And I was looking out the window, and all I hear is, and I'm like, no. No, please, God, no. Not now. And I'm kind of like looking out the window, and I hear it getting closer, and I'm like, I back up from the door, I aim my gun at the door, I'm like, if he comes to the door, he has to open it first. So when he does, I'll shoot him and see if I can't run around him. Not the case. He kept walking through the door. He just went, and the door flew open, and I was like, oh, Jesus! And I ran. And I ran back to the safe area. Guess what? He just walks in.
What?
Oh, yeah. He doesn't care.
How do you get away from him?
You don't. You just have to...
Literally don't.
You literally just have to deke around him and then run again. And that was the worst part of the game for me. Because he's just there consistently. It stops after a little bit once you get to a certain point. But at that moment, horrible for me.
Well, what is the background of this character? Does anybody know?
I have no idea yet.
I'm really struggling with how spicy these chips are.
Yeah, dude, you just shoveled like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said 3 in a row, and for a second my throat was like, it's game over.
Yeah. But yeah, I have no idea what he's about yet.
This episode's brought to you by Flamin' Hot Nacho Doritos and flamin.
But yeah, I played it, and
I
I
so
seen
white.
him, and I was like, oh no, I'm out. So that's what I hate so far, but I haven't run into him since.
So, what is his name? Mr. X?
Whatever.
Okay.
I know his name is Tyrant.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question.
I know his name is Tyrant, but like, I've seen people online say his name is Mr. X. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know what it is.
So
He's gonna give it to you. That's fine.
He's gonna give it to you.
he is going to give it to me.
He did. He did gonna give it to me. He did done give it to me. Sorry.
Yeah, because John was showing us a clip before we started, actually.
Oh.
That apparently is just very much the
Yeah.
experience of playing this game.
100%.
He's wandering through the halls, and you can quietly hear the... And then this guy opens a door, and he's just standing
He's
there.
just standing
behind the door,
on the other
and just
side of the door,
sucker
and goes,
punches him.
And then you fall back through the door, and the
yeah.
door closes, and then
Like
it's muffled
he-
again. And I'm
All
like,
he does is clock you.
yeah, he doesn't.
Like, he just, like, fucking... If you try to go around,
No.
he just clotheslines you.
The funny thing is, I was like, when I was playing it, I was like, he's chasing me vehemently. Maybe he's supposed to catch me and something happens. So I let him catch me, and I was like, maybe something happens.
Instant
He
death.
picked me the fuck up and, like, threw me on the ground, and I was in danger health, and I was like, okay, that's not it. And I ran.
That's a good lesson for your life, John. If anyone chases
Fun
you,
fact.
don't just assume the
Fun
safest to
fact.
get you.
Fun fact. Also, I shot him in the head with a shotgun. His hat went flying off, and I got an achievement for it. So
Hey,
I got something out of it at
That's
least.
something out of it.
Hat not invincible.
Hat not invincible.
Are you ready to enter Act 3 of the podcast?
Yes. I think I'm decently recovered from those chips. I felt really white there for a second.
I seen you
I was like-
you got red like a little
I
bit.
was like, oh, I'm feeling
I
my...
saw
Your
you,
lips
like,
are red.
Yeah,
Siphon
I-
that
they
Mountain
feel-
Dew
Yeah.
for its very last
I-
drops of
I think
salvation.
I might just try a little bit more.
So before we go into this last bit, I just want to fasten my seatbelt. That was supposed to sound like a seatbelt. Nobody say what that was.
Oh! There we go. Ah,
I
sweet.
forgot. You had an actual seatbelt.
Buckled up.
So the third act of today's cast is brought to you by
The
academia
1960s.
in the 1960s. So currently I'm doing a humanities and social science degree, and as a consequence, I get to read some doozies.
I love how you say a consequence.
It is a consequence. It is seriously a consequence. So I'm taking a seminar course just entitled Child Sexual Abuse.
That's a course you're doing.
That's a course I'm doing, yeah,
Sounds-
in the sociology faculty at my university. So we're basically just approaching, CSA as it's going to be referred to throughout the podcast, from the lens of, a sociological perspective, which is just like seeing it as a detached issue and then an attached issue within society.
Okay.
So this article was for an assessment I had to do today, which is, the assessment was just like, read the article, summarize it, do like a little group
Usual,
presentation,
yeah.
that whole spiel. But man, it's an experience. So the article is entitled "Professional Writing on Child Sexual Abuse from 1900 to 1975: Dominant Themes and Impact on Prosecution." So essentially, what happens is these guys are going to take a bunch of court cases, criminal court cases involving CSA, analyze them, try and compare them to the literature review of legal literature and psychological literature, medical literature, and sociological literature.
So you're just gonna diagnose it?
Well, what's going to happen is basically they're going to, see how the court cases played out, and they're going to see if the literature, the research, the articles, the opinions, the academia, the jargon, all that, informs the legal process. And what they found is that the literature review is very separate from the actual court proceedings. And in doing so, the question is, where did the literature, come from, and how did it come to be? And what's the consequence of the legal precedent of these cases? So,
Okay.
basically what happens is they take the literature of 4 different disciplines: psychology, psychiatry, sociology, and law, compare, any articles, studies, research projects related to child sexual abuse, and they basically determine 4 emergent themes between the time frame of 1900 and 1975. Buckle up. So the 4 themes that they found to emerge.
This is a comparison between the literature people were writing and what was actually happening on the ground, I guess.
Yeah.
Over this
Oh
time
my
period.
god.
Yeah. So the literature
Oh
from
my God.
1900 to 1975 on the topic of child sexual abuse.
You have to make sure you say, you have to make sure you know when you're quoting something, because someone's gonna hear this and take it way out of context.
Yeah, it's a doozy, but it needs to be discussed because it is
100%.
wild. The 4 emergent themes across the 4 disciplines in the time frame of 1900 to 1975 is that children were responsible for their own molestation.
Ah.
Mothers are also to blame for their children's molestation.
Thanks, Freud.
Child sexual abuse is actually pretty rare, and sexual abuse does no harm.
This is the literature.
This is the literature from 1900 to
Put me
1975.
back
To
in the,
1975.
put me back in the Kubrick. Put me back.
That's, for perspective, that's less far back than from now to when we were born.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, about that range.
It's about that time frame. Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially the point that they're saying is that, especially in the incestuous cases, the children were responsible for their own molestation because they were claiming to be seductive.
Oh.
Alright.
Yeah,
Oh, that's upsetting.
it's very upsetting.
Uh-huh.
It's very upsetting.
Oh my god.
But this is all coming from like a patriarchal lens. Always keep in your mind that this is coming from a
Oh,
patriarchal
100%.
lens.
It had to be.
Patriarchal lens of men writing about shitty dudes.
Literally, yeah.
Shitty dudes.
They were the ones doing it.
What?
I mean,
No way!
Yeah. But essentially the second emergent theme of, mothers being a part of the blame was basically saying that, like, well, this happened
Well,
to
I
your
mean, look how
kids
she was
because-"
dressed.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Basically,
ah!
this is, like, the precursor to, like,
My eyes!
how this works
Yeah,
in our
holy
current law
shit.
system. So essentially they say that, mothers were to blame in these situations because they were viewed, and I quote, "Mothers of incest victims are routinely referred to as frigid, hostile, unloving women. As women who are so cold and rejecting that they cause their husbands to seek sexual satisfaction
An incel wrote this.
elsewhere."
An incel wrote this.
Well,
We need some more chips.
yeah.
Oh my god!
And the last 2 themes are basically just okay.
Chico, I don't even know if I want to hear it.
it's weird that the men are absent from all of this.
Oh,
Understanding what's going on.
suspiciously absent in most literature.
That's so weird.
Uh,
I'm honestly shocked.
I'm so shocked.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Men don't exist. What?
Who the fuck forgot to include them?
The women, of course.
They love being included.
Yeah. So, continuing.
They were all
on-
fighting the war.
Yeah, that didn't draw me
Yeah.
at all.
From 1900 to 1975.
That war.
Yeah, the 100-Year War in 1900s.
But it continues on, and a sociologist, shout out to my faculty's history, not actually my technical faculty, but my field of study, in 1969 wrote that the problem of incest is peculiar in several respects.
Oh.
Statistically, its occurrence is negligible. Because of this infrequency, the extent of its disruptive effect on human group life is minor.
Ah. See, I've never
So-
heard of it, so it can't happen.
So that's the same logical leap as saying, yeah, terrorism is pretty rare, so it doesn't really,
Exactly.
it doesn't really hurt that much.
Oh my god.
That's the same logical leap.
Good
This
lord.
so far feels like all of the worst fears, like the exaggerated, shitty version of how you think of things, but real.
Yeah.
Like confirming all
This is
all of your
literally
worst
all
assumptions.
of your worst assumptions.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
I ate too many chips.
I ate too many chips.
It does not help the pain of hearing this information.
Yeah.
This episode's gonna be called Hot Takes.
Oh, and continuing on in the same realm of, CSA
Child
doesn't
abuse,
have.
okay.
In 1952, Bender and Gruget.
I'm sorry, who?
Could be Gruget. Gruget. When I say Gruget.
So, I'm Grugget. I'm here to talk to you about child sexual abuse.
Oh gosh.
That sounds like a
Bender's
law.
not to be outdone though.
Yeah.
It's caring
Bender.
It sounds like a fucking law firm. Bender and Crooked.
Anyways.
In contrast to the harsh social taboos surrounding such relationships being incestuous, there exists no scientific proof that there are any resulting deleterious effects.
What?
What?
No ill effects.
No
Really?
ill effects.
Why aren't there any ill effects?
Because there's no scientific proof.
Of course, everyone wants to fuck their sister. Thanks for
So
it.
wait, when
No,
you
this
say,
is about dads fucking the daughters. Get it straight.
when you say incestuous, that you mean fathers assaulting children. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a weird way to frame it.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, men
they
don't
are putting
exist. My bad.
men in the the power position because that is predominantly
because of course they
the
are.
incestuous relationships. That is not to say that there's
But-
not.
oh no, I
the
mean
other
it's
things.
weird to use the word incestuous because that in my brain I associate it with fucked up but consensual at least.
Yeah.
And
True.
like the power
I
dynamic
guess.
of parent and child is different than like
Brother
people
and
same
sister.
generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where like the key part of the abuse comes from is that there's a power differential and
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
an influence relationship per se.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To put it simply, it's yucky.
So yucky. It's just so yucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the killer part of this section.
Oh,
In
no.
1964, Brunhold wrote, "Lasting psychological injury as a result of sexual assaults suffered in infancy is not very common."
Huh.
Zoinks.
Oof, baboof!
Oh.
I love how
It's a good thing there isn't an entire cultural movement of people who are feeling long-term effects
Yeah.
of sexual abuse.
Yeah. This was
Various ages.
this actual article was published in '99.
Whew.
And wait, and this article was cognizant and critical of the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Yeah. And continuing on through the article, it actually gets to a part that kind of puts in perspective of like, oh yeah, patriarchy, bruh, right? It talks about how in the law profession pre-1975, especially in the educational side of the law, most professors were predominantly men.
Mm-hmm.
And most articles written on sex crimes, rape, incestuous relationships, CSA, they were written by students, not professors.
Huh. Ain't that a thing?
Yeah.
Ain't that a bitch?
What does that mean?
That basically is reaffirming the notion that men in position of power are disregarding the presence of the social problem of CSA, of
So there's only the
sexual
students
assault.
who are ever doing papers on this sort of thing.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Right?
Because they were aware of this sort of problem and wanted to
Exactly.
make it known.
Exactly.
Because if you don't make a paper on it, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. That's right.
There's fucking papers on why people like wear shoes for fuck's sake.
Academic paper didn't happen.
Oh, there was a great bit of
Citation needed. Thank you.
Let's make that a thing. Citation work didn't happen.
I listened to some good science on CBC a while ago. It was actual scientists around the world gathered to do a study on how long it takes to pass a Lego brick.
How long
Like,
was it?
to shit out a Lego brick?
Yeah, and they went into the hosts were just like they were in it for the lulz, so they literally just prodded him to go into detail about how he gathered this data, and he's yeah, I did have to dig through my shit for 2 weeks. I actually didn't find mine, which was kind of worse, because I had to keep digging until I knew I had just missed it. All of my colleagues found it, and then were done within a short amount of time, but I had to keep digging through my shit, because I couldn't find the Lego brick I had shit out.
Oh, man.
That was a lot of fun on the radio.
I had like a unfortunate chuckle at a little passage, and it basically just says, throughout pre-1975 law review articles, the level of disbelief being the victim, the accuser, is truly remarkable.
No fucking way.
That's
it? It just stops
hammer
there?
on the head there.
Wow.
There's the science. Remarkable!
Did the quote just end there?
My quote, it's literally just says...
It was remarkable.
From the actual paragraph, it's reading the relatively few pre-1975 law review articles on rape and sexual abuse. One is struck by the skepticism of women and girls. Sexual abuse of boys was rarely discussed. Asterisks on that.
Because men don't exist.
Asterisks on that. And then the quote that I just gave.
Wow.
And basically, they just start their next segment of, why were we so skeptical of women? And get ready.
Oh no. Is this the
You
one?
thought the last 4 immersion themes were doozies? Get ready for this.
Oh no.
That was a flourish of a page turn. I like it.
So, they basically reviewed the law articles that formulated legal literature that then, could be recalled and referenced and cited and informed legal precedent between the time frame of, the 2 days. So the 4 themes in law review articles, considered to be pinnacle of academia sometimes.
Oh shit.
On sexual abuse and assault and sex crimes, the 4 emergent themes were the fear of alleged, fabricated assault, fear of crazy women, preoccupation with consent, and the corroboration of the victim's testimony.
Oh my god.
Those were the 4 emergent themes.
Did it actually just say crazy women?
I can't believe we're living in 1975.
B. Fabrication.
At least it's quote.
Yeah.
At least it's quote unquote crazy
can't
women.
believe
But I
it's
can't believe that's
1975
in an actual fucking citation.
Yeah, it's an actual
What the
citation.
fuck?
Citation, crazy women.
Quote unquote crazy women.
Yeah, so those were the 4 supporting factors of this.
Life comes at you fast, huh?
Life comes at you fast, bro!
Shit.
So, they just give some more history on, skepticism, and it goes way back to 1600, and it talks about Sir Matthew Hale. I'm not going to go super deep into him, but he gives a problematic take where he says, it must be remembered that rape is an accusation easily to be made and hard to be proved, and harder to be defended by the party accused, though never so innocent. Now, you can understand, ooh, that's a hot take. But he was no apologist for sex crimes. He was oh yeah, if you're accused, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean
Right?
that's what a lot of cases like that were.
Yeah,
back then.
if you're
it was just
if you're guilty, you're dead.
yeah,
Right? So he's not,
capital punishment was still a pretty big thing. It was just
yeah, he's not shirking the punishment. He's not oh, put him in the gallows or whatever. That's the hanging post.
Yeah,
Put him in the stocks.
yeah,
He's oh, you did that? Peace.
He's like, oh,
gone.
sis, you canceled. You're
Yeah,
hanging out. In
yeah.
this
There's the tea.
But it's still used today of, the fear of fake allegations.
Mm.
Oh,
And basically, those 4 things, that's the Brett Kavanaugh trial right there.
Yeah,
That's their
100%.
entire defense.
Mhm.
Right?
Funny that how all the fucking people
Funny.
judging that were probably in that age demographic.
Yeah.
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 Funny how
Funny how that
the
works.
people who probably were judging over that sort of thing probably were the
Yeah.
ones who wrote this shit.
Probably.
That's fucked up.
Maybe. Well, they actually might have been the ones to write against it. They were probably the ones studying it. Anyway!
Fuck me.
But the next part is fear of the crazy women.
Oh god.
Jeez.
As a quote, talking about... Oh man, I forgot how crazy this is. Talking about the fear of the crazy woman and how, only a psycho would make a false allegation. And then, it could be then extrapolated to make an allegation and then...
Yeah.
And I quote, "She may completely fabricate a forceful sexual act, yet be unaware of the fanciful origin of her complaint." So basically, that says, oh yeah, well, she might be attracted to the accused. So like I guess it's okay.
Ugh.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And this, we're about to get into some confusing, just generally frustratingly confusing segment.
This
Where
whole
it's-
thing has been frustrating. I'm trying to think about the warnings I'm gonna have to put on this episode.
This is my podcast. I'll record the warnings for you.
Okay.
We'll do it in post. The next.
Oh no. Can I read it?
Look at the
I
paper.
know the one that has the question marks. I
Look-
want to
Yeah,
read
I
that.
remember
one.
the paragraph with the question marks all
Yeah.
around it.
Just for everyone here to look and see.
So just for the audience,
Look at what I wrote.
Jacob has
Outside
a
of
bunch of question marks around one part, and then he has brackets around another little part. There's a bunch of lines near another one, and then in insane man's writing, scrawled on a wall, just says
What am I reading?
Jesus.
So basically, a preoccupation with consent is essentially just the legal jargon of saying, does no really mean no?
Yes!
Preoccupation.
Yes, it does!
Yes!
So insane.
Yeah. So the segment that I just have just surrounded by question marks. Essentially, in pre-1975 law review articles on forcible rape, where there was the issue of consent and debating whether it was a no or a yes, several authors discussed the idea that no really means yes. In 1966, a law student made his point by quoting from a book, "Although a woman may desire sexual intercourse, it is customary for her to say no, 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 although meaning yes, yes, yes. And to expect the male to be the aggressor. It is always difficult in rape cases to determine whether the female really meant no."
I mean, you say all that, but I've literally read stories of kids our age in frats and stuff just chanting "no" means yes.
Yeah.
No, wasn't "no" means yes, yes means anal.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's still a thing.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
This hasn't gone away.
This article is dated. It's not that dated.
Yeah. It's spookily relevant.
Mm.
Do
If anything,
you guys want to know the title of the book?
I remember reading it.
The Resistance Standard.
Thanks.
No.
I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. That's all.
Quinn's
Published
just cuddled into
In
the couch.
directly to sleep.
1966.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nap time!
Hashtag I'm with her.
I'm gonna save my thoughts till the end.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? You've been
I
talking
can't
this whole
believe
time.
it. And,
No, I mean like my thoughts on a lot of this.
The resistance
Yeah.
people can't know.
Not because I feel like
I don't
something
know what
here
you
is going
mean.
to.
You've been talking this whole time. How have you been saving your thoughts?
No, I have.
And
I
why are you
have.
only saying it now?
I'm saying I have thoughts, and I'm not gonna bring them up yet.
He's just engaging. He hasn't given.
No,
much
he's
thought.
just making a baseless foreshadowing.
Hey, Quinn, you know what? It's called like, you know, setting up the suspense and the thought. It's entertainment value added to the podcast.
Be a showman for once in your
People are gonna
fucking
listen
life.
wondering, hey, John's gonna share his thoughts. I wonder what those are gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm about to just say he's just sharing.
Well, now they're not gonna listen to it because you keep calling it out.
It's like, imagine if I said I'm gonna eat some of these chips later. I already have. Like, there's no big reveal. What am I gonna do? Eat more of them?
Well, maybe not if you keep fucking eating them all.
I like this little break in levity. I really like it.
I really needed it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm still asleep, by the way.
He's doing all this in his sleep.
This is what I say when I'm asleep.
Just argue with me.
Just alone at night, no lights, no nothing, no sounds. Just out of nowhere, John, shut up. What are you talking about?
And your parents are like,
Not making any
what
sense."
the fuck? Is John over?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the next segment that I have highlighted, this just comes in hot and, the start of the
Hot and
paragraph.
heavy, I like it.
Consent was a frequent issue in court prior to adoption of rape shield laws in the 1970s. Defense attorneys frequently put rape victims on trial by offering evidence of the woman's lack of chastity.
What?
So literally,
Wait,
yes,
so
yeah.
they've had sex, so
Therefore, they
Therefore.
deserved it. This is literally the foundation of. Oh, so like.
But by that logic, you could be like, okay, like
He ate a Big Mac.
person on the trial being like, did you have sex? Yes, he raped me. There you go, Mr. Your Honor. Mr. Your Honor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. If you've done something in the past, you want to do it again, and if someone makes you do it again,
It's not that bad.
it's because they knew that you wanted to do that thing.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, you did it the first time.
Yeah.
That's exactly the logic. And then I highlighted this quote. Another court remarked that common experience teaches us that the woman who has once departed from the paths of virtue...
Departed from the path of
Departed
virtue?
from the paths of virtue.
What planet is this from? What?
Toxic masculinity. Is far more apt to consent to another lapse than is the one who has never stepped aside.
Is that a quote?
What does
Is
that
that a
mean?
quote?
Is that just they're arbitrary, like, if you check all these boxes that we say are good things, we might believe you.
Jacob, if you don't tell me that quote was from like a scroll written in fucking Jerusalem and like
State versus
I'm
Wood, 1942.
I'm gonna punch myself in the throat.
man, the way that old people talk about virginity is so
Wild.
insane. I kind of wish you could like co-opt it and use it for something like not watching anime or something, you know? Like,
I'm still pure.
I have not.
Hey! I haven't departed from the path of virtue!
Right!
Yeah!
That's right. But like
I am filth.
You can accuse someone of rape and it'll work!
like cartoon titty has not compromised your virgin eyes or some shit. I don't know how that works.
I invite you into my home, and I feel so attacked.
I just want to douche it and say, what's up, guys? I'm departing from the path of virtue today.
I just
BRB.
departed from the path of virtue,
Yeah!
and it felt so great.
Call up the girlfriend, hey, you want to depart from the path of virtue later?
Sorry guys, can't hang out today. I'm departing from the path of
Have you
virtue.
ever departed from the path of virtue in the back of a car?
Oh, yeah.
Anytime I'm watching
Yeah, just
anime,
hang on.
I'm literally just going to be like, I'm
Because
departing.
I'm departing.
Guys, I'm departing tonight. Can't hang out.
I just took that a step further. I just departed. I just departed.
Guess who just caught the 3 a.m. to pleasure time?
Guys, I'm departed.
I'm leaving.
My soul is leaving my body.
Oh,
Oh my god.
what have I done?
I think Jacob's literally like.
I just need to get this out.
My
No,
mouth's
I-
about to depart from the path of virtue.
I just find it funny that anytime we've just nosedived into insanity is anytime Jacob's brought up something. It's not against you. I just find it hilarious.
It's true. Oh man.
But so hot. Oh my god.
Why are you still
Why are you
eating
doing this
them?
to yourself?
They taste great.
They do taste really good.
They're just nacho Doritos, which is really hot.
Yeah, but like it's the heat that accentuates it.
I am hungry.
Your lips are really red.
I was really hoping Quinn just breathing there could have been close to the. Just,
But yeah, this is basically the foundation of like, oh, you've had sex before, you asked for it. Like this is the foundation of it.
that's that shit's so
And
insane.
it continues, but this goes back to 1895, where the court case is State versus Sibley, and it says, it is a matter of common knowledge that the bad character of a man for chastity does not even in the remotest degree affect his character for truth, while it does that of a woman.
Did you say 1898?
Wait, did they just say?
They literally just said. They literally just said double standard.
Yeah,
But only for
said,
girls,
hey.
but not for dudes.
Yeah. What destroys the standing of the woman in all the walks of life has no effect whatever on the standing for truth of the man.
So you're just basically
Oh
telling
my
me.
god, they
You're telling
just
me-
jacked off on a page.
This shit, so this shit right there just said like in 1895, if I had a curly mustache and looked like I would put a fucking woman on a train track,
Yeah.
I could probably get away with it.
Yep.
Because I have a dick.
They just departed from the path of virtue all over the page.
They just departed hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
God damn.
well, this has been a journey. And we're halfway through.
Holy hell!
Yeah.
We're almost an hour in.
Yeah. But essentially this is the foundation of where our current law handles sexual assault.
Yeah.
And
Not well.
not
So-
well.
This is why it's so fucked up.
This
Wait,
is
is
why
this-
it's so fucked up.
That's America?
Oh, it applies to Canada too. Don't even kid yourself.
It definitely
Don't
does.
Oh,
So-
absolutely
Yeah,
applies to
it
Canada.
definitely
British-
does.
It applies to St. John's today. Like
It's British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this shit's happening now.
It's British common law.
Yeah,
Right?
that's it.
Like both of our judicial systems were heavily influenced by British common law. Us more so than America. But
Yeah.
this is predominantly, cases cited in the United States.
Cool.
And for the final emergent theme of skepticism in the law articles in the time period is basically just the need for corroboration, which is essentially the next step after, getting away with it, is essentially that, okay, if you claim it, you gotta have proof. And it's essentially just saying, yeah, we just inherently don't believe you. Right? You need corroboration of, the reality, the truth of your statements.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild. But,
Unless you're a dude.
Oh,
unless you're a dude. Unless you're a dude.
You're set.
But it's summarized pretty well, and they quote here by this guy, Wigmore. What a guy.
What I got?
The unchaste mentally, let us call it, finds incidental but direct expression in the narration of imaginary sex incidents of which the narrator is the heroine or the victim. On the surface, the narration is straightforward and convincing. The real victim, however, too often in such cases, is the innocent man.
What?
God, I've never seen you so. You look
That was a defeated sigh.
I've never, I've heard so much shit in my life, but I've never heard
You've never heard it
actually
from
the
my-
guys being assaulted here.
Yeah.
What?
That quote essentially
What?
just says, yeah, the real damage here, it's his reputation.
Yeah. I mean, he was gonna go to a good college.
It's time to. I gotta pump the brakes on this. I'm dying.
Why? Because of the chips, or
No, because
A
of
bit
this.
of both. Do you want me to
They're
lighten
like-
it up a little bit?
They're like, it's like they're having their cake and then they're eating it too, and then
then
they're
shitting.
shitting out the cake
And
and they're
shitting.
blaming the chef for it.
Do you
or
want me to?
something,
Do you want me to lighten the tone a little bit?
I guess.
Oh, let's try and just wrap it up.
Okay,
just
let's
try
wrap
and
it up.
Yeah, save your opinions till the end, John.
You're right. Thank you.
So essentially, that's their literature review. That's what they found, and essentially, I want to talk about this because it does confirm our pop culture assumptions of how the law system works, and a lot of the time, our pop culture assumptions on like bureaucracy and legislation and these highly exclusive forms of knowledge. It's right here. Right?
Yeah.
Like, our law system is pretty gnarly. And our history is pretty gnarly in this. And, you know, we like to think that, oh yeah, like, the Me Too movement is fantastic. And I'm with her. And all these wonderful things. But we need to realize that it's still real and it's still happening. And it's still present in our law system.
Yeah.
And our law system is truly where the consequences come from.
Yeah, it's all fine and dandy to know and have the information available to you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
It's how you can use it.
exactly.
that matters. Yeah. But they continue on. They take a bunch of court cases, they analyze them, and they talk about how, you know, in the court cases of criminal prosecution of CSA, there are certain findings, and I'm not going to go into the statistical findings and the frequency of characteristics and demographics and all that. I mainly wanted to talk about the literature review of what formed the background and the history of this issue, because it's so relevant today, but it's a lot of, you know, jargon and political standoffs and things that look visually, oh yeah, they're making a stand, but they don't know like the actual history and how pervasive it really is. And it's supposed, like, this is supposed to enlighten, you know, people that don't believe in victims. They don't believe in the crisis of sexual abuse and sexual assault and how it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that has happened forever. As long as...
Until pretty recently, as bad as you could possibly imagine, so it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another topic that we talk about in this class is like the periods of discovery and reemergence and periods of suppression. And we gotta think always that in periods of suppression they coincide with state crisis. So like think about war,
Yeah.
right?
Everything gets
Economic
pushed to the
turmoil.
back burners.
Exactly.
Everything.
Social assistance,
Yeah.
like the funding that goes to these preventions and these assessments and these programs to prevent such issues, immediately cut in crises.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
But in periods of discovery and reemergence like we have now, where we're not in a great spot politically, and let's use, you know, culturally, we're not in a great spot. But socially, like, we're doing okay. Like, we're not dying of the flu, we're not in a war,
Yeah.
we're not, you know, fearing
We're
our
pretty
lives.
well
Like, we're
informed.
pretty established after the nightmare that was the 20th century.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're okay. So this is where our new period of discovery is coming from with sexual assault and sexual abuse. And all of these
There's a
things.
neat side to that, at least, that the U.S. has still managed to keep a forever war going, and they're putting such insane amounts of money into that to prevent things they could be doing that are good.
Yeah.
But
We've talked about that, like, just how
but that's just kind of the
much.
U.S.
That's just kind of the U.S.
It's
That's
just
right.
kind of what they do, huh?
But
So we got this budget, gotta use it for something.
we got all this money, what are we going to use it for?
It's so crazy that no
Social
matter
programs.
Should
We gotta
we pay
use it
people
for
salaries?
Education. Pay people salaries. No, let's use it for war. I like that one.
seemingly
I like
no matter
that
how
one.
progressive a U.S. candidate is, or maybe not how progressive, but for the very vast majority, I don't know about the farthest left, but any Democrat or Republican, if you say you want to fund healthcare for everyone, it's like, well, how are we going to pay for that? You're an idiot. But if it's like, oh, we want another $10 trillion to fight wars that we made up in intervening countries, they all just like, yeah, where can I sign? Let's do more than that even.
Bro, let's stage a coup.
Yeah.
The helicopter has how many guns?
Yeah. But the article basically sums up, and I will admit this is the biggest flaw in the article, and it talks about how it gets to the point after talking about, like, oh, the criminal cases were proceeding this way with consequences that happened in XYZ form, and these were the demographics, and all of the social science mumbo-jumbo. But the authors essentially say, okay, the literature review over here says, holy shit. But the actual legal precedent and the prosecution is fairly okay. Right?
Oh, that's really interesting. I don't know why, but I was half expecting the reverse, where the literature was starting to catch up and figure stuff out, while the precedent was stuck in its ways.
I did too. But it's the complete opposite. The literature being behind and slow and just nightmarish, whereas the actual court cases from the judges were very progressive, were very addressing to the issue and ameliorative towards the problem, but the divide is between the two. And essentially they say, as an explanation, two things. One, yeah, the judges were good.
It's like I guess in front of real people, all that other shit
that's
fades, and they can't deny a person in front of them.
And that's the second point that they have is like, the first point is, oh yeah, the judges were okay at their jobs, which is like, that shouldn't be the reason.
Yeah, no.
Shouldn't be the reason. But secondly, they could not deny the power of the victim testimony.
No.
In relation to the crimes committed, right? And especially in this situation where it was CSA, the power of the child giving the testimony massively shifted the prosecution protocols. And it's very interesting, and I'm just relating it to today, that in the past, we listen to children far more than we listen to educated, highly ranked women when they make allegations about individuals that they've spent a portion of their life knowing. Right?
Yeah.
It's that bleak, melancholic realization that we actually did something okay by listening to the kids and their testimonies in the past, but we've forgotten that, and we've just disregarded the little incremental progress that we made of the victim testimony and believing it.
Yeah.
And just launching it out the window in our current climate, which is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, that sucks. But like, see, like I'm an optimist, so I'm trying to look at the positives here. Optimistically, at least we
got a couple movements on the go.
That's the good thing. The good news is
side.
The good news is we got good movements out of it now. The other good news is we're able to read this.
Exactly.
We are able to look at this and be like, "Whoa, that's fucked up," and be able to say that.
Yeah.
Not be able to look at this and be like, "Well, that's fucked up," and have someone say, "Hey, you're not allowed to be reading that," and I'm like, shit, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. There's that level of optimism, but there's also the consequence of we can read this, and then we can also be like,
oh shit, nothing's changed.
Nothing changed.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's almost like nothing ever changes, huh?
It's crazy. Well, I mean, a bunch of men created all this literature, and then I assume they taught their beliefs to people they raise. And
Well, essentially, they did their research, air quotes, educated generations.
Mm.
Those generations went into the workforce, reproduced society, reproduced social relationships, And because of this academic literature, because of these ideas, this is where we are now, generations later.
It's almost crazy when you think about it like that, though. Because you have those people, like you said, where they grow up, like they teach the populace that.
Yeah.
And then the populace learns that, like you said, they go in the workforce, they have children. They're taught what they were taught. Yeah. And then they're just taught something completely different. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, even, I know we don't exactly have generalized education for very many generations, we haven't had that. But it's going to be weird looking back and realizing that every year, no matter how far ahead we come, some people that are being educated are not going to accept what is acceptable now. Like, you're going to have people who are either going to be left behind or refuse to go ahead. You know what I mean?
It's not just the olds.
It's not just the olds.
We're going to be the olds.
Exactly. There's going to be we're going to look at stuff and be like, something that's totally acceptable today, we're going to be 40 or 50 and be like, fuck, I was so bigoted.
Yeah. Well, listen, man.
Crazy.
I've said that about myself in high school.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
I know, it's insane.
Yo! I was problematic as fuck! Right? Imagine what that's going to be 10 years, 15 years.
But I think it's something to say that, you can say that about yourself. To be yeah, accept the fact that you were a problem. Yeah. You were part of the problem. You've moved past from it.
I dodged a huge bullet by not really biting into that whole white boy aesthetic.
Yeah.
Really dodged the bullet there.
You really did.
And we all did, really.
Oh yeah, I say it time and time again that we escaped something. We escaped the cultural movement of our demographic.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this on the cast or after the cast or whatever, but the way I think about the process of socialization, when I hear it in my classes and how it's different for every culture and society, I kind of realize that white, straight, able-bodied, pinnacle of privilege is socialized to be prejudiced, stereotyping, and discriminatory.
Yeah.
That is our socialization.
Yeah.
Not in the aggressive, hey, you're white, you don't like black people, but it's in the minor stuff of
microaggressions.
Microaggressions. Yeah. You be yourself. You be this. You don't compromise this.
Mm-hmm.
You go do XYZ. You go play sports. You go,
You do you.
You do you. And you don't think about anybody else. No. Right?
I've said this before on the cast, I know, and I feel like I had that weird realization of, when that point you hit when you're in high school or something, and you just peak and you're like, wow, none of this fucking matters. Yeah. Anything you've done, and you could just change yourself right then and there and be like, wow. I hit that in grade 9. Going into high school.
I'd say I hit that grade 11.
Yeah. And it felt great doing that, because you've seen all of these people who are trying so hard to stay with social norm, stay with the popular, do all this stuff, and I'm like...
Well, I still feel like that when I see some people that I went to high school with at university. Right? I still feel like they're trying to, put themselves into...
They have to. They have to ingrain themselves.
I feel like MUN is really bad for people who don't get over high school.
Yeah.
It is. It is really bad.
Because it's so accessible, and then people just kind of finish school here and then go straight there instead of going abroad.
That always bothered me, that people just go straight to post-secondary without a plan just because it's what everyone else does.
Yeah,
that fucks me up.
Because we have an accessible university.
Yeah.
Which is...
a good thing.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but there's no...
there are consequences to that, too.
Yeah, taking a general course at MUN is literally just free money for the school.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's I don't want to be one of those. I did a semester abroad, people. There's a lot to be gained from being out of your space, even for
God, yes. Even if it's like something related to work,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
internship programs and co-op stuff and going to school away. I had a mediocre summer job on campus on the other side of the island. Completely changed my approach to like professionalism and following orders and being like a good worker and taking pride in my work. And I never would have had that if I stayed at,
Exactly.
What you're
my-
doing.
Something about being taken out of your life you're used to and having to deal with all the people you see and all the stuff you do being different makes you just think about what you've
think about your patterns.
what
think
you've
about your
what you've
rules.
normalized and what can change and all that.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting. That's cool.
I wonder how we got here.
I think we had to really dig deep to bring it up.
Yeah.
But I think I'm glad that I had a chance to read this article.
Yeah.
This is one of my, most influential articles I've read in university so far. And I've been doing this for a while now.
You printed it off and brought it and cited it for us.
Yeah.
So, if you went through all of that effort, it had to have been groundbreaking.
Yeah. And I've read some wild stuff in my education, but this was so potently relative to where we are with, the States and Me Too and all of these wonderful things, but it's the concrete, little tiny, inaccessible things that put it in perspective of how important it is.
It's very affirming to read how impenetrably fucked up the literature.
It is impenetrably fucked up.
Like, how would you even start with these people? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess you could take. I don't know. It's dark. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you could take some solace that some of them are probably dead by now.
Oh, most of them.
Most of them.
Most
That's
of
what
them,
I'm saying.
if not all.
Some of them are probably dead by now. I don't want to be that negative,
But then again, these are intellectuals, and they're usually the people that are most receptive to new ideas, right?
Yeah.
So they might look at their work and be like,
fuck.
"Oh yikes!"
Yeah.
Right? Which
And we can only hope.
We can only hope.
Yeah, we can
That's
only
right.
hope that
Then-
that's what they did.
But then if the academic well, to speak, is poisoned from 1975 backward, did you think about how hard it would be to get something like this out of culture when at any point someone could look up and see that this is how people thought about it for all time, by and large, for this point, and that's affirming to them. It's like,
Oh yeah, this smart people thought this.
it's like
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory flat Earth thing, except literally
Way
everyone
more.
believed in the flat Earth, and real
Yeah.
real professors at real universities wrote papers about how the Earth is flat up until 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And how do you even compete with that? I don't know.
I will say this: a good redeeming, topic that they talked about was post 1975. There was a huge shift in the literature, like a massive shift.
Is that
And
when
the
the
literature,
hippies finished their degrees?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There was a huge shift in the literature, and it basically was heavily influenced by the feminist movement and how it's
When was the suffragette? That was the 1890s, right? Was that women's suffragette?
early 1900s.
Something like
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna
There's
say.
around there.
Yeah.
That was
right
like
to vote
suffragettes.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just curious about when that was happening. I thought that was early 1890s
Yeah,
or 1900s.
we only give
yeah.
women rights in sparing amounts. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
And then the right to vote. The right to vote is not a right to your own body. Let's be
Let's be
Yeah,
clear.
okay. Fair enough.
Oof, oof, oof.
You can elect government, but you can't pick who you have sex with. Thank you.
Exactly. That's right.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys. Way to go. Thanks.
So I wanna end this with, we're sorry.
Are you gonna
Yeah.
share? Oh, are these your thoughts that you're gonna share?
No, my thoughts were that I'm happy that we could at least take this and learn from it.
Yeah.
That
you
was
didn't
my
preface
ending
it,
thought.
so.
Were you really quiet for that fucking long just to call me out on this?
No, but like
Yes.
you said like I'm gonna share my thoughts at the end, and we got to the end, and you did share your thoughts, but without saying that that's what you were like, without saying like I'm gonna tie up that loose end now. You just kind of tied a knot, and we have to assume that that's the knot you tied. I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for spelling it out for us.
You're welcome.
You're like a subtitles for. You're like a subtitles for a podcast.
Are you complaining about subtitles? I love
No,
subtitles.
I love subtitles too.
It's like a closed caption.
I want to end this. I want to end this off with a bit of bit of humor.
Did we already say sorry? Because I just want to do it again.
Yeah. I'm
Like, hey,
sorry.
everybody. Sorry.
Yeah.
On behalf of us whites.
On behalf of us wipes. Oops. Yeah.
Did you say wipes?
I
You did,
really wish. you
Those
didn't
are
know
really
this.
spicy chips. I'm gonna blame it on
I'm
the
going-
chips.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm losing feeling in my mouth.
That's it.
Do the white people thing. Blame something else.
There you
Alright,
go.
It can't be your
think-
fault.
I'll circle back and call back briefly. I don't want to dwell too much because I've already talked way too much about a fucking corporate advertisement.
Cool.
But you think about when they made that Gillette ad and so many guys were uptight. Not even the frothing rage guys, but even the, well, actually, I have some concerns with this and how it portrays men and always makes men out to be
Just
bad.
buy
and how
just
we're
buy
judging-
chic products and let you be fucking as dickhead as just possible. All right.
But then you look at something like this and you're like,
But those guys are like, they show you. Oh, so you're a bystander.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Buy the whole thing, and it's like, how do you even put it? It's like,
Well, it's like they totally just perpetuate that thing that you were saying. Like they might not be like typically like super problematic people, but because they still have that like microaggression mindset of
Exactly.
I'm me.
How could
and
you?
Since I'm progressive, the world must not be that bad because I'm fine. So then when people are like, oh god, the dudes are at it again, they're still being shitty, quick, let's make a shaving commercial. Then that person is like, hi, what's up? I'm a white dude and I'm fine, so you didn't have to make this.
or it's like, I guess, and then they'll internalize like, oh, obviously, sexual assault is bad. I'd never do something like that. But then you talk about stuff like doubting women's claims about stuff. Is they'll claim something, they'll be like, well, actually, because they've internalized this privilege, because it's like living with privileges that you're always believed, and then not having the privilege isn't like you're going to be arrested or this or that. It's like every time you speak, you have to justify yourself because they're going to question you. They're going to prod at every single bit of it. They're going to make you justify everything you say. Yeah, and that's just that friction sort of follows you around, and that's the sort of thing that guys like us just don't feel. Like you go to a job interview, you go and you meet someone or whatever, and you present yourself as you are. You don't even have, the other thing is that you don't even have to think about whether or not someone's going to doubt you're saying, you're going to justify your claims, because it all just happens. It just flows and you're not stressed.
No.
But then that's what happens is with guys like this, what they're doing is they're enforcing that just constant friction. And everything does it. When more recently they talk about feminism with intersections and intersectionality. That's like that not to compare or say that one of these is worse than it, but the fact that they all add up when you have a bunch of them and that any one of them is bad and having none of them is great, and we don't appreciate it enough.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I'm gonna end with a funny story.
I think we should just end.
No, it's fun and quick. It's like 30 seconds. I went into work the other day and there's a mailbox outside and I saw two kids knock it over and I told them it was a federal crime and cops came and picked them up. Now you're an hour closer to your weekend.
John, what have you done?
This has been the Privileged Fan Club.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry again. Goodbye.
We're trying to do better.
You're an hour closer to departing from the path of virtue.